Welcome to Daily Armour. Our verse today will come out of 1 Thessalonians chapter number 5, looking at verse 24. 1 Thessalonians 5:24, and it says, "Faithful is he that calleth you, who also will do it." When you think about that he's called us to do something, that he has made a decision that I am or that you are, we're supposed to do a specific task. And that task or multiple tasks, is something that he is going to be faithful in. He is going to do some things in our life. We respond to his faithfulness, and we move forward through his faithfulness. That's something that I've had to learn to do, and I'm still, continuing to learn to do that. The first time that he called me was that Monday night that he showed me I was lost, and he showed me that I had a lot of head knowledge, but I didn't have the heart knowledge. I didn't have that saving knowledge of him, that personal relationship with him. I was taking in a lot of facts, and I was reading about a lot of facts, and I was hearing from the preached word a lot of facts, but I was just soaking it up intellectually, but I needed to have a relationship with him, and I kept feeling like there was something missing. And he called me that Monday night to show me that it was him, that I could have, that what I had was just a bunch of knowledge, but I needed that personal relationship with him. And so he called me that Monday night, and I accepted his free gift of salvation, and I'm so thankful that I did. I have never regretted it. Never, not one time have I regretted knowing him in that way. But he called me, and he is faithful. He that called me. So it says, "Faithful is he that calleth you, who also will do it." Now, when he called me and he saved me, then he had some jobs for me to do. And immediately, one of the jobs that he had for me to do, which shocked me, I got saved in July. Todd was preaching for a church up at Laurel Hill by November, and by January, I was pregnant with our fourth child, and he had taken on the church to pastor. So I became a pastor's wife within just a few months of newly being saved. So it was kind of a shock. But he's the one that called me. He's the one that decided all those things for me. I didn't decide those things for myself, but he called me to do that. And he was going to be faithful, even though I was still trying to figure out what I was doing. I would let you know that 20 years later, I don't have everything figured out, and I'm still on a daily basis trying to figure out what I'm doing. But he's faithful, and I'm so thankful, because as I try to figure out on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a yearly basis, things change from one year to the next. So many things change. Whenever I was first a pastor's wife, I had 3 young children, and I was pregnant with our fourth one. And so I was a young mother, and the Lord added to my responsibilities as being a pastor's wife. I had never taught Sunday school before, had, been in Sunday school, but I had never taught it myself. And so then I was put into a class, and all this stuff that I was new to, that I was I took my responsibility serious, and I tried to learn things as quickly as I could. I studied, and I read, and I tried to do the best that I could. 20 years later, I look back and I can see how he was faithful in spite of things that I just didn't know, in spite of things that I was just learning that were so new to me, in spite of all those things, that he's the one that's faithful. And I'm just so thankful. When we think about faithfulness, don't count on yourself. It's not faithful is me, but again, don't count on others. It's not faithful is you, it's faithful is he. Faithful is he. So when I look back at my past, I can see so many times where it was his faithfulness that got those things done. And I look in my present, and I'm seeing that it's still him. It's still his faithfulness. Things in my life can get overwhelming. Things in your life can get overwhelming. We can be distracted. We can make a promise that we will end up being unable to keep. Through maybe even no circumstances of our own, we can't even keep that promise. Maybe that we are faithful, but then we're one day we're sick. One day that, something happens outside of our something that we can control. So we have a lot of things that make things distract for us, that create obstacles for us, that make us up one day and down the next day, whether it's fatigue or a sickness or an accident or something that just comes completely out of the blue. You can get a phone call that changes the whole dynamics of your day. But when we think about Him, when we think about the Lord, when we think about God, when we think about Jesus Christ, He doesn't have any of those. He doesn't have any limitations. Nothing distracts Him. He is never without the power or the ability to do something. We are without the power and the ability so many times to do things. We don't. When I was a first of a pastor's wife, and I would say still, every year is different. There's a lot of things that I just simply don't know. There's a whole lot of things beginning that I really, really didn't know, but I say 20 years later, there's still a lot of things that I don't know, and that I'm continuing to learn. The Bible tells us to add those things, to add, virtue and knowledge, to add those things. So we're constantly learning, and we're constantly moving forward through His leadership. But where our anchor is, where our hope is in Jesus, because He doesn't have any of those limitations. He has all the power, all the knowledge, all the wisdom. He can be everywhere at the same time. He can be helping me while He's helping you, no matter where we are. He's all over the world. He is helping. He is without boundaries. He is the healer. He is my friend. He is my guide. He gives me directions. He gives me comfort. When you can be, I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes you can be around a lot of people, but you can feel very lonely. And then all of a sudden He'll give a verse, a verse will come to mind, or a song that especially one that contains some scripture will come to mind, and then you just smile, because then you don't feel so lonely anymore. And He's such a comfort to us. So, but it's all based on His promises. He said that He was the one that was faithful. He is faithful. He is just. He is going to bring to pass those things that He has promised. Promises for me, I try not to make a lot of promises. I have a lot of good intentions, but I try to not specifically make a lot of promises, because things can happen, and can change the course of the day that I think that I have planned. But they don't. His promises are sure. They can be trusted. He is for sure. And there's a lot of things in my life. There's a lot of variables that keep me or keep you from doing things. Even our faithfulness in the job that He has called us to do, we might find ourselves one day not being very faithful to that. Maybe it goes on for a week. Maybe that you've been unfaithful to the Lord for a long time. Maybe it's been for a short time. I hope it's just been for a short time, but it happens to all of us that we can be unfaithful. We can just be having one of those days. And the Lord is saying, hey, I've called you. I have a job for you. You are important to this job. You are important to me, and you are important to the work that I have given you to do. But no matter what, He says He's going to be faithful. I may make mistakes. I may fail. I may fall. I may fumble. But He is always faithful. That's why I feel I have so much security in my salvation, because I don't have to keep it. I didn't do anything to earn it. I didn't do anything to receive it except accept the free gift, except take the gift that He had given me. And the Lord came into my heart, and I can't fall out, because He is the one that's faithful. I'm so thankful. And I don't know what you might be struggling with. I don't know if somebody failed you. I could have failed you. I don't know if your closest friend or confidant has failed you. I don't know if your church has failed you. I don't know if your family has failed you. I don't know if there's things that are just constant reminders of this is a failure, that's a failure. But that's the way we're blemished. We're sinners. I'm still a sinner saved by grace. but he is faithful, and look to him. And that's what we have to keep our eyes focused on him. I can't stop doing what he wants me to do because I don't have somebody supporting me in what he's called me to do. My spouse doesn't always encourage me. He pretty much doesn't think about it much at all because he's wrapped up in all the responsibilities that he has. So not necessarily any fault of his own. He just has a lot on himself, and he can't always be encouraging to me and helpful to me. He doesn't always help me with my responsibilities, but who I can count on is the Lord himself. The Lord is faithful to help me, to encourage me, to give me direction, and sometimes I want it quickly, and he teaches me patience through that. I have to wait for it, and I have to watch him for it and wait on what he has for me and what he wants me to do and what he wants me to share. So and when we have all of those things that can go in our life and can happen that way, we find out that I fail myself and that you fail me, but he never does. He never does. So when we can let each other down, when we can let ourselves down, and I let myself down all the time. I disappoint me all the time. I disappoint me. I get frustrated with myself. I get aggravated with myself because there's things that I know, but then there's things that I just don't follow through on. And I get so immensely aggravated with myself. But the one thing that I don't have to worry about is him. He is faithful, and I can always look to him, and I can always count on him. So that's my devotion for today, is to be thinking about his faithfulness, that we can always count on him to be faithful. Let's read it one more time before I close. Verse 24 of 1 Thessalonians chapter number 5 says, "Faithful is he that calleth you, who also will do it." He's also going to do it. It's all on him, and he can handle it. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.